Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's me, Sean Guerrero. I am hanging out here doing some work, and I wanted to start putting together a weekly housing update because I was seeing so much information changing on a regular basis. Every day, it seems like there's something new that comes on with the Fed, or something new that's happening with Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, or just the housing situation in general. And I wanted to make sure everybody had up-to-date information as I was receiving it. So I've already lined up some great guests. They're not going to be joining me today. We're starting that next week. So I'm going to walk everybody through what we have that's going on right now. So if you're joining in, please share. Definitely give it a like, and let's get started. All right. So here we go. And let's see. Let's make sure everything's working here properly. There we go. All right. So we got some Kitsap County housing data for everyone. I think the big thing that I saw that was going on with the housing data is I'm not personally a real estate agent. You know, I'm getting these stats from realtors that I know and trust, and they're helping me out with some of the data that's coming out. But I mean, in Kitsap County, I didn't know there was only 330 homes that are currently available. And that speaks to some of the things we're going to be talking about a little bit later. But there's actually only 330 residential homes that are currently listed on the market. And of those, 92 homes were just listed. You have about 220 homes that are pending sale. So if you're looking on some of the different apps, whether it's Redfin, Zillow, all the independent brokerages seem to be having their apps. You'll see something that says pending in the corner. And what that means is a buyer and a seller are currently under negotiations with that property, and they're just waiting for closing. And then there was about 138 homes that were sold last week in itself. Now, on the bottom of the screen to the left, you're going to see what the median home price is in Kitsap County. And I keep hearing a lot about this. You know, houses are really, really expensive. You're right. I mean, it's $401,130. And I mean, when you think about that and growing up, especially being born and raised in this area, yeah, that's the highest we've probably ever seen it. But definitely, as you're going to see later, it's all relative to payment, of course. Another thing that I wanted to point out was just what it looks like for appreciation in this county. So what that means is from the time that you buy the house over time, how much does the value increase? And, you know, our 10-year average is about 3.14%. The last 5 years have been amazing. That's at 7.63%. And, you know, the forecast for the next year is going to be a little bit of a challenge. And a lot of that just has to do with what's going on with COVID and everything along those lines. Now, this is more my side of the coin. I'm going to take you guys over to this next screen, which really just focuses on a lot of the mortgage numbers. So I'm going to start off to the left. I always get this question: what are your rates today? Well, it's different for everyone. Okay. These are not my interest rates. These are the national averages for Freddie Mac, the sister company to Fannie Mae. And what I think is just really interesting is if you look at the bottom of each one of those interest rates that are out, you see 0.8 fees. And I always use this as a disclaimer. There's about 32 different things that go into what makes up your interest rate. It could be everything from, are you going to live in the house or are you going to rent the house? How much money did you put down? Is it a purchase? Is it a refinance? What's your credit score? All of these different things factor into what your interest rate is. The national average interest rate, if you go to the little, the little web address that I put in the very bottom, it talks about what interest rates, that's the exact place I got this information from. It says, you know, underneath the 30-year fix, you're paying about 0.8 points. So if you're buying a $100,000 house, you know, it's $800 to get that interest rate, separate of all other closing costs. $200,000 house, obviously that's going to be about $1,600. $300,000 house is going to be $2,400 just to get that interest rate. So it is completely different though if you are getting a refinance. which we'll talk about here in a second. So I point out these interest rates because everybody's talking about how low interest rates are, and they are. They're freaking low, like insanely low. Now, the crazy part about it is, though, if you take a look into the middle, this kind of tells you generationally where we are. I want you guys to look at this. If our parents were in their 20s when they bought a house, and let's just say they were born in the 1950s, that put them born in the 1950s, their average interest rate was 8.86. All right. Now, me personally, I'm an 80s baby. And, if you had some parents, would that be born in like the 60s and they bought a house? 12.7%. Can you believe that? 12.7%. Can you imagine paying for that? People don't even pay that on their credit cards. All right. Keep going through, early 2000s, about 6%. That's about the time that I got into the industry. So take a look at what that does over a monthly mortgage payment. And then at the very bottom, you see today's interest rate. 2.96%. So actually owning a house is way cheaper now than it has been in years. I can understand the biggest objection is obviously, that down payment that many folks have to make. Now, if you go over to the right side of the screen, this is the data that I have to watch on a regular basis to advise clients and real estate agents just where exactly we are in the market and what kind of the temperature is. So if you look, I got this information from the Mortgage Bankers Association. Basically, overall mortgage applications went up 2.9% week over week. Purchase applications are up 40% year over year. So despite our inventory woes, we're actually way up on new purchase applications. And those could just be people who are, of course, putting in offers. And yeah, we're up 3% week over week. That's what the WOW stands for. Refinance applications are up 60% year over year, which is crazy. They too were up 3%, and that wasn't a surprise to me. And that's because if you look down below, it says application ratio under things to watch. So earlier this year, refinances were up 100% year over year. Now they're only up 60%. And I want to really emphasize on exactly why that is. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, their boss, Dr. Mark Calabria, just did this bonehead, idiotic move, which makes absolutely no sense to me. Like, if you think about it, so he says, we're essentially going to put a tax when it comes to people who are refinancing. Now, he did this after hours, so none of us knew. He did this while all of us, just had gone home for the day. There was no reasoning. There was no explanation. There wasn't anything. So keep in mind, you have Democrats and Republicans, which we all know politically, it's kind of tense right there. Okay. You have Congress, the feds, the White House, everybody sitting there like, in order to keep the economy going, we have to have mortgage interest rates pushed down, cost of everything pushed down. We want to make it as easy as possible and as cost effective for everyone as possible. Great. That's wonderful. Everybody's got that concept. We're all going in that direction. There's stimulus packages, forbearance packages, everything. Then you got this guy. This guy's just out in like right field, like the last kid to be picked for basketball. It's just insane. He says, you know what? After hours, I'm going to send out a memo, and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, guess what? You guys are going to charge all clients a half point more just to refinance their home. Pretty much the safest transaction you can do, because all you're effectively doing is typically lowering your interest rate. Although, there's a number of people who are consolidating debt. Just every good thing you could think about to make yourself be placed in a better financial position. That's what a refinance does. Well, this guy, he's charging people a half point more. So what does that look like? Okay, so if the median home price in Kitsap County is $401,000, like we talked about, let's just say somebody has a good portion of equity. They only have a home loan of $300,000, so they got $100,000 in equity. Well, if you were to refinance your house, starting this week most likely, what's going to take place is it's going to cost you an extra $1,500 in closing costs. Now, why? I don't think very many of us know. I mean, this guy had no clue what he was doing, and he still hasn't given any explanation. But it is happening. It is a law. It becomes effective December 1st. But what happens is mortgage companies need time to deliver. They need time to deliver everything that is going on with the mortgage. So by the time they underwrite, close, and deliver it to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, that's going to take some time. Turn times are up on loans. So hence the reason why a lot of mortgage companies are early adopting the rule right now. All right, let's jump back into here. Let's see. Oops, a little technical difficulty there. There we go. Jumped in. Okay. So that has to do with the refinance fee. That was the second item. So we didn't know what was going on with that refinance fee. Some people tried to fight it. It got delayed and then it got retracted, which was great. And so that's probably why everything was going up when it came to refinance applications in the last 30 days. In the last week. Now, another key thing to look out. I know a lot of people have questions about what is going on with the market. Are we going to see a ton of foreclosures? Will this be 2008? And I think this is very telling. So CoreLogic, I'm in the bottom right corner of this, CoreLogic reported that for June, 7.1% of mortgages were at least 30 days late or delinquent. And if you're applying for a forbearance program, you know, a lot of times they make you go 30 days late before you can go into forbearance. So it's just kind of one of those things. If you go over in 60 or home loans that were 60 to 89 days past due, dropped from 2.8% to 1.8%, which means that 7.1% that was 30-day lates, they got their forbearances approved. Then if you take a look at homes that were 90 days late, all right, those are probably your self-employed folks who take a little bit longer to get their paperwork because they got to get stuff from CPAs and all that stuff. It went from 1.5% to 3.4 homes that were at least 90 days late, and foreclosures remained at 0.3%. So I want to keep those things in mind for you guys. When you see that there's all these loans that are late right now, I think the best way for me to put it is a lot of lessons were learned from 2008, 2009, 2010, 2012. And that was, at the end of it all, we can't let these foreclosures back up. We can't let them happen. So there's a lot of government programs that have been put in place in order to prevent that and backstop that. Kevin Jameson, I will definitely make sure I get to you on that. Probably send you a DM on that one. Let's see. Go back to the presentation here, just so you guys can check out a couple of the slides that I worked really, really hard on. So don't make fun of me if there is a spelling error. All right. So frequently asked questions. I want to make this a regular part of everything that I'm doing right now. Because there are so many questions and things are changing left and right. And this is a huge, huge piece of what's going on in the real estate world today. I have a lot of home buyers that are getting frustrated with the process because, well, frankly, this hasn't been seen for a long time. So let's take a look at exactly what I'm talking about here. Let's see. We'll show this guy. I'm actually, before I do that, I'm going to bring up a comment. Let's see. Jonathan Farrell, who's probably one of the most intelligent people I know when it comes to housing. This guy is somebody I've known since high school, and I won't say where he works for, but just know it's one of those really cool, like high-profile jobs. So he says, mortgage finance companies and banks are statutorily prohibited from requiring a borrower to go 30 days late prior to applying for or beginning a deferral. Yeah, I mean, John, I think you're right. They are technically, but what happens is not only is the paperwork take so long to get everything there and get everything back, I think the big rumor is everybody's hearing that, folks who aren't inside of any kind of a negative status when it comes to their payment. They're just getting declined or it's not going through. And that's what I'm hearing on the front end. Again, could be wrong. Fortunately, haven't had to do that. So, I mean, just clients who are coming to me talking about refinancing, that is definitely something that they're bringing up is, they're hearing that you're not getting the approval. So thank you so much for sharing that comment, John. All right, let's take a look here. Boom. All right. Should I pay over asking price? Now, the reason why I bring this up is because there was a recent Redfin article, which I thought was actually really well done. And it said more than half of Redfin offers faced bidding wars in August as the housing market's competitive streak continues. So nearly 55% of offers faced bidding wars in August. Competition still fierce in coastal California, and the market is also hot in more affordable places like San Francisco and Phoenix. And if you take a look right there, bidding war rates in metro area, August 2020 versus July 2020, you can see, it's up and it's happening everywhere. Pretty much what happened was everybody who got out of quarantine with limited housing market or houses on the market, it just created this backlog. So a couple of cool points that I came up with just from reading the article. So nationwide, 54.5% of Redfin offers on homes faced competition in August. That's down from the revised of 57.3 in July. Now, competitors are still fierce in some of the more expensive areas and coastal areas. So I don't know what it is about people, trying to go towards the water and get out of the cities. I imagine it has a little bit to do with the pandemic, but it's definitely happening, especially here in the Kitsap area. The more real estate agents I'm talking to, the more they're just saying, hey, we need to do something to stand out and be unique because we are going up against a ton of competition. All right. The pandemic trend. So what's happening again, if you look at that third bullet point, basically what they're saying is the pandemic trend of people moving away from densely packed cities, which I just spoke about, to more affordable and spacious regions, means homes in places like Sacramento, Phoenix are becoming nearly as competitive as the Bay Area, which is insane if you know anybody in the Bay Area. You couple that with low mortgage rates, it's motivating home buyers who are thinking of moving and packing up to actually doing it. So some of the people, I'll tell you, some of the people that I've heard of that are actually doing this, it's actually some of the more famous people. I got a great friend of mine who lives in Austin, Texas, and he is pretty much the norm now. A lot of Californians moving out that way. I talked to my nutritionist, and he said he's moving from LA and he's going down to Arizona. That is just wild. Joe Rogan is moving down to Austin, Texas, I heard recently. I found out a few Seahawks players are actually training out here on the Kitsap Peninsula in the wake of COVID. And also one other one. Post Malone. Post Malone moved to Utah. Can you imagine that? Posty, of all people. He is in Utah, which is, I don't know why that's so weird to me, but I can't see Posty in Utah. Can you imagine that? But he's just one of many who are moving more to those, low population areas. So let's go here. And now we got to answer the question. So I think it's important that if you are considering buying a house, you have resources. You got to have, your mortgage or real estate guy. They've got to be really, really well connected with technology, and so that you're not making an emotional based decision. I've been there. You guys just want to think about bidding wars. Think about eBay. Remember how unfair it was when you had a dial-up connection, or like somebody had a dial-up connection, AOL. It's kind of dates how old I am, right? And then somebody else had like a cable speed modem. It's kind of the same thing. The bidding wars are just happening. So if you want a competitive advantage, Number one, don't bid off of emotion. That'll get you in trouble. Number two, trust. I mean, especially if you went through the process of vetting your mortgage person and most importantly, vetting your real estate agent. If you got a great real estate agent, listen to them. What I'm hearing on average, and if there's any realtors that are listening to this that are friends of mine, I would definitely love your feedback on this one, because I'm hearing rumors of about 10 to 20,000 above asking price for homes in Kitsap County. I am hearing about people who are offering up to 10% over asking price, and you know what? They're getting it. Sellers are making out. So if you're going to do that, and that's a game that we got to play, we have to have a competitive advantage. We have to know what things are or how they're working. So let's take a look. This is a tool that I use. So that way, when I am talking with clients and they're asking me for information, I try to go off of data, not emotion. So let's take a look. Let's get the mouse over there. Sorry guys, 3 screens. All right, here we go. So this is on Redfin. They got some cool houses. These are homes that are close by my office and like where I live. Definitely been on Redfin and Zillow's site quite a bit. So I took the first house that I saw in there. Really nice house. Like super nice house. I'm not even sure who's listing it. Let's take a look. Where is it? There you go. So Amy Lacker Pickering from Sterling Property Group, which is actually a really cool company. They got some great agents out of that office. So anyways, as you can see, super nice house. Very, very cool. Love it. Has that nice look. Kitchen looks great. Everything looks great. 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom, 2,900 square feet. Again, we go back to that slide that I was looking at. You're looking at a house that the median price range for a home in Kitsap County, which takes everything from Port Orchard all the way up to Bainbridge Island. I mean, you're looking at the median price range is about $401,000. I'm definitely seeing much higher prices, but this one right here, $449,950, and I guarantee you, she probably has like 8 or 10 offers on this house. It's wild. All right, let's take a look. So if we go over bid over ask, okay, we're going to enter this in. 98383 is the zip code. Booming. All right. Let's see. We're going to do a little homework on here. I'm doing this live. All right. So one of the things it asks us to do is figure out how much the seller paid for the house when they bought it. Boom. They bought this house for $256,000 back in 2011 of April. So we're going to enter that info in. They bought it, what we say, April. All right. House is currently listed for $449,950. Huh? All right. $449,950. All right. Now, let's go ahead and say it's that 10% number. Okay. So let's just say $44,950. Oh, sorry. That's right. That's 10%. Huh. Here's my mental math, guys. All right, let's see what this says. Anybody want to take any guesses while we're out there and we're watching this? No? Okay. Oops. Sorry. Amount seller paid for home. 226. All right. Make sure. $256. Got it. All right. Let's take a look. Current asking. Boom. We got all that there. Amount seller paid for home. So when is your break even? Your home value should exceed your total bid due to appreciation. So not just the amortization schedule. Okay. In November 2022, based on asking price using our forecasted appreciation levels. All right. So if somebody does bid over 10% to get this amazing house, making sure I can switch over, you're going to see what happens with appreciation. So, if you're only here and you're in the military and you're on orders, does it make sense to go up that high on the house? Maybe you're only going to be here for 2 years. Yeah, probably not. You definitely would not want to do that. Now, if this is like the greatest school district for you, you're going to be here forever, you got a great long job. Yeah, I mean, you could definitely reason within yourself on why the numbers may make sense. I think the thing that I'm trying to tell you is you definitely want to work with professionals who are able to support and do things through logic and numbers, and really not just, hey, you should go ahead and throw this much more money at the seller and do that. That's stupid. It really is. Like, you're just guessing. No, you don't want to do that. You want to use forecasted data as much as you can so that you can make an educated decision. All right. So let's see what else we got. All right. That should answer everybody's question there. Let's see. And we're back. Cool. So hopefully that answers everyone's question. I'm going to add this in here. All right, guys. I promised I'd be talking about this for a little bit. This is, of course, my podcast that I got going on right now. So I have 2 different podcasts. I know people are asking, why did I decide to do it? Well, really, I think that number one, if you're taking a look at the first podcast, the one here with my picture on the left in front of the house, that is my business podcast that I am doing. I'm really, really excited about it because I get to interview a bunch of my friends in the mortgage industry, and I get to talk about my story, why I started doing what I'm doing. And, more than anything, my goal was with this particular podcast was to pull back the veil on the housing industry. Why are there 3 credit scores? What happens if I want to dispute something that is going on with my credit? Who's an underwriter? What do they do? And also, I think inside of this industry, it's so easy to commoditize the mortgage guy, the lender, and also the real estate agent. So I'll be bringing in some of the very best of the best from across the country. I think that's one thing that the pandemic can really say help this year is, people that we normally wouldn't have access to. Now we have access to them, and now we can go ahead and bring value to ourselves and the people we work with and have best practices because of the way we're able to conversate with them, document things. And that's really what Behind the House is. Richly Connected is my fun one. That is definitely the passion. I remember sitting at a Super Bowl party in Manhattan for the Super Bowl in 2013 when the Seahawks actually played and won, and it was incredible. But as I sat there and I was in a room with a bunch of athletes and just people were coming up and talking and drinks were everywhere, what I noticed was, as starstruck as everybody was when it came to the different NFL and NBA players that were there at those parties, those players were actually very, very, uh, starstruck at the same time of the people that were in business. And it's so weird. I mean, I can name a ton of athletes. I've actually sent out some requests for some of them to join my podcast. And that is, when you take a look at it, these athletes who are in these careers, you got to keep in mind they're only in their early 20s typically, and then you have somebody over here who's doing very, very well in business, not just in real estate but tech stocks, construction, online sales. And these sports athletes were coming up to these business gurus and they were asking questions. They were asking questions left and right. What does it take to be successful? Who do you use for distribution? What gave you that idea? Who are some of the people that I should talk to if I want to start something similar in my market? Should I invest in real estate? Should I invest in stocks? And it just blew me away, because at the end of the day, I could talk to a bunch of really, really amazing people. Shane Wood's on here right now. Love Shane. All right. This is a guy who is always running, and I see him at the gym at 5 a.m. I'm gonna put his name up there again. You get a chance, follow this guy. He's in the car industry. He's incredible. So think about Shane. Let's take him as an example. The guy runs. Do you know how much you learn through running? How to push through pain, how to have a routine, how to just continually get after it through tenacity. All right, well, that's something he learns, and I guarantee you he takes that into the business world. That's why he's so kick-ass at his job, is because he utilizes things there. And I know a lot of sports athletes that not only utilize their connections, but they also utilize their knowledge of what they were doing on the field, on the court, and they were taking it to another level inside of the business world. I can tell you a number of athletes that are actually better at business than they were, doing whatever sport they were. And how often do we find it too, that you can be sitting there with a couple of guys over a beer or glass of wine or whatever, and what they'll talk about is old high school stories of them playing sports. I know that happens all the time. There's about 13 uncles that I've heard their high school football stories 28 times, at least to date. So it happens. There is a connection, and I'm going to unpack that and also introduce you to some really, really cool people. All right. So we're just about done, and we're going to wrap up. When we're talking about sports, I want to share something that, was important to me. I have my son who is 13, and I have another son. He's 7. And then I've got a 6-year-old daughter and an 8-year-old daughter. All right. We all play sports. The whole family does. We all do stuff. And this week, Central Kitsap School District was actually talking about, for budgetary reasons, why they were going to cancel sports this fall. Not just this fall, but for the rest of the year. And I was like, oh my God, that is ridiculous. There are so many student athletes that are going through depression right now because of this. UW just put out an incredible study about that. And it also changes a lot of things for kids. I've got one client, Kim McMillan. Her sons played on the North Kitsap basketball team that won a state championship. Okay, both boys are going to college. All right. This kind of messed up their recruiting and what they were going to be able to do. I don't believe North Kitsap's basketball team even got a parade. And then, of course, there's all the kids that are currently in school who they're used to playing sports right now. Kids are just getting done with two-a-days. We should be I'm pissed. I'm going to be honest. I am livid because we should be watching the Battle of Buckland Hill. I mean, the Seahawks are playing this weekend and we can't even be in the stadium. It's frustrating, and I get it. It's for a great reason. We all want to stay healthy. We want to be there, but there are other people who are, figuring it out. So what I mean by that is in Colorado, they just reversed the order to allow them to play sports in high schools. In there's a number of states that have actually reversed course and found a way to do it safely. Now, the kids can't have any fans there, and they're televising the games and they're doing stuff. All I'm saying is, when you're a kid, I think the biggest thing that you have is the ability to have hope and possibilities. There's so many kids that, this is their shot to go to college. This is what keeps them out of trouble. You guys ever watch those professional athletes and they talk about, and I know I'm tearing up a little bit because I just started thinking about it again. It's like, how many of them say the reason why I stayed out of trouble is because I had this after school sports program, or I was in band and I played this, or I was, on the soccer team, or I was, my coach did this for me. They don't have that access anymore. And that sucks. Their hope to go to college, not there. It's all just messed up right now. So anyways, to make a long story short, I actually got to speak via Zoom to the Central Kitsap School District Board. And I was the first person. I was in there. So I'm going to type out 2 thank yous right now. One of them is a realtor that I know of. Her name is Shelly Sanders. So I'm going to add this and just say, thank you, Shelly, for notifying me about what was going on at the school district level. As a parent, I'm actually really embarrassed to say I've never participated in the school district's board. And this was eye-opening for me. I got to talk to them. I got to talk to them about, what was going on with the budget and listen to what they were trying to do. And I also got to express a lot of appreciation for the school administrators and what they were doing, because this job is incredibly hard. If you got kids and you're at home with them, you know how hard it is. But Shelly brought that to my attention because she sees how much time I'm spending with the kids and sports and everything. So thank you very much, Shelly. Let's see. I want to say thank you so much to Joe Zeman. So I was the first person to speak, and Joe has a stud athlete of a son. His name is Ty Zeman, and he plays over at CK High School football. And the kid is incredible. Like, you look at this kid, he's just stacked. He's a monster. The dude is yoked. They've just got a great defense over there at CK High School. And Joe went up there and he spoke. Like, I was nervous, Joe was nervous, but we were up there speaking to these school administrators about giving these kids a chance, giving them hope, giving them an opportunity. I mean, we don't care if you have to shuffle things around. I know that there's a current political movement that's going on right now called SAW, Student Athletes of Washington. And they're trying to get audiences with different government officials and school districts so that they can have a season for all sports this year. Anyways, I'll definitely put the petition for the link inside of the comments so you guys can check it out. But I wanted to say thank you to those two because they did something, they spoke up, they were all respectful and they had their reasons. But most importantly, I just wanted to take a moment and say thank you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you guys a couple of gift cards in the mail. I will get your address so that I can go ahead and do that. I know that there's a couple of spots that you guys like. See your business cards around. And so, yeah, we'll get you guys those. Last but not least, let's see. I think we got that. So, yes, of course. We've got this. Everything's cool. Said my thank yous. And now, of course, I'm out of here. So thank you guys for everything. Had to put the legal thing up because they tell me I have to put the legal thing up. Anyways, I mean, you guys get that, right? You guys get that. Let's see. All right, guys, I am out. Thank you so much for joining me. Questions, comments, of course, I will definitely make sure that I address those. You need my contact info, be right there. Wow, I actually got that one right. I didn't know if I was going to get it right because it's backwards on the camera. Anyways, all right, guys, I'm out. Thank you so much.